What is up, you guys? It is your boy John, the voiceover guy here from Puma Plow. Welcome back to another On the Farm. I really do appreciate you guys clicking on the video. How's it going? And welcome. Today is the day that we change all the oil on the not all the oil. There's lots of things still with oil in them at the farm that are not these. Was it 6 things? Yeah. So starting from the left, we have the John Deere, our rescue tractor that we I don't know, rehab this spring or whatever. That is the Simplicity, the old Power King X-Mark Laser 2660. Apparently I've been saying that wrong all this time. And our new Power King, quote new Power King, it's from the early 90s, and my Gravely walk behind. All of them need oil changes. Actually, realistically, about half of it needs oil changes, but hey, why not? So there you go. I thought you guys would enjoy a little actual audio from all of them running, all 6 of those things running. Now, I'm putting on the blue gloves. I know there's people that love ragging on me about the blue gloves, but, you know, when you're dealing with the camera and oil and stuff, you don't want to get oil on your camera. At least I don't want to get oil on my camera. So if I need to mess with the camera, it's easy just to pop a blue glove off and boom, I have a perfectly clean hand underneath. You know, it just makes sense to me. So the first thing in the shed, or in the shop, shed, both, to get its oil changed is the Simplicity. This tractor we primarily only use to spray our pumpkins. Now, I know that sounds really silly to have a dedicated tractor just to spraying the pumpkins, but the tractor was free. My dad actually used to sell Simplicities, sold this to my uncle. When my uncle was done with it, he gave it back to my dad for free. So, yeah, we have a little bit of money tied up in the thing for, like, a battery and, you know, whatever. But it's awesome because it has the foot hydro, so you can have one hand on the steering wheel, one hand on your sprayer wand, and then use your right foot to control your speed. It's pretty great. And hydrostatic drive, of course, not a gear drive. And it's pretty awesome. So, changing the oil and the spark plug, and this one actually does have a filter as well. So we will go ahead and change that. The spark plug was a bear to get out of here. It's one of those spark plugs with really long threads. And it's like my hand was cramping up, you know. I know if I didn't have the blue gloves on, I probably would have been able to get it out faster. But, you know, I like the blue gloves. Sorry. Just saying. It just makes sense for me. It really does. But we really don't run this thing too much. I believe that oil was in there about 2 years, actually. But for the little bit that we run this thing, that's perfectly fine. And see with all those threads on there? Goodness gracious, so many threads. And it's in a tough spot. You actually have to use a universal on the end of your socket to get it out of there. Otherwise, you can't get the ratchet on the socket. It's kind of a whole thing. In case you guys didn't know, the universal in like the socket set thing, you know, is like my favorite tool of all time. I try to use it whenever possible, and Dad likes ragging on me about that, but that's okay. It's all good. It's one of my favorite tools of all time because it's so handy. You know, I wouldn't be able to do this without it. So there's that. Anyway, it's a great tool. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. I did check the air filter on this one, and it was just fine and dandy. Air filters can last a long time when you don't use the tractor much, and that is exactly the case with this Simplicity. We just don't use it that much. But hey, it doesn't owe us anything, and you know, it's fun to have multiple little tractors. And actually, when Miss Stephanie Marie and Mr. Nubius were here, we like all jumped on tractors one day. It was my dad, Steffi, Nubius, and I think Zach. Yeah, and myself. All 5 of us jumped on little tractors and drove like to the other side of the farm, which I know is not that far away, but it was kind of just funny to do that. So, yeah, all good. And actually, that oil that I took out of this thing almost looked brand new, but hey, we might as well. Putting straight 30 back in this bad boy, and after this, it is good to basically sit for the winter. It will be plugged into a battery charger of some kind, either one of our new battery tenders, or we actually have a bunch of like real cheapo depot ones from Harbor Freight, but they work. So there's that. All right, now we're on to the, quote, newer Power King, This one, same thing with this tractor, actually. It was actually free. Somebody brought it in to where Dad works to get some work done on it. Dad works at a lawnmower shop, in case you guys didn't know. And it sat out there for a while, and the guy just never came back to pick it up. So Dad was like, hey, we could use another tractor at the farm, so why not? And this was actually only our second little tractor at the farm. So when we got the thing, we used it a lot because it was only our second one. You know, planting the rye and all that stuff we do, it was actually very handy for that. It has kind of been replaced by the John Deere a little bit, simply because the John Deere is, well, it's new and shiny. And that's pretty much it. But anyway, so just a simple oil. It's actually like a pipe cap on the bottom of this particular tractor. Drain the oil out, and I let it drain while I was laying there because I'm like, I'm not going to get up just to have to lay back down again, you know? So using my adjustable to tighten her up. And I know some of these angles in this video kind of suck, but I just figured I would bring you guys along for the journey with the head mount GoPro and go at it from there. So hopefully it's a decent-ish video for you guys. And same thing as well, straight 30 weight, Kawasaki oil. We like this oil. It's pretty good oil, and we've had no problems with it. So filling her back up, and that's all I did to this tractor. Just an oil change. We don't really use this one much either. It actually sat most of the summer because, like I said, it got replaced by the John Deere for any little projects that we had. This is my Gravely 1536 walk behind, 15 horse, 36-inch cut, and it's a hydro unit as well, not a belt drive. And yeah, it was actually not quite due for an oil change, but it's one of those things where I'm just going to do it because it's winter, and well, that's what we like to do in the winter, is the preventative maintenance and stuff. This lawnmower has a sweet oil hose on it instead of just having like a little drain. We put this hose on a few years ago because the drain kind of crapped out, and it's really sweet to have the hose right on there, and you just take the cap off the end of the hose and then point it down into the oil pan below, and you're good to go. I did replace the filter on this as well, and that's all I did to this one as well. This was primarily an oil change day. I did a little bit more to like the John Deere. I did the spark plugged it. Oh, here we go, wrestling the filter out. And I swear I put a new filter on. Put the cap back on the hose here, and fill it back up, and we're good to go here in a minute on the Gravely lawnmower. So yeah, that lawnmower has 700 and something hours on it right now. I'm not sure, 770 maybe, somewhere in there. I'm not totally sure. I know we're not like on schedule, but like I said, it's winter. It's going to get done. I rather change my oil on my equipment too often than not often enough, if that makes sense. So this one is getting, what is that? I can't quite see in my editing program. I forget what oil this is. What is that? 1040? Yeah, 1040 is what they recommend on this engine. So that's what we're putting back in it. And we've been running that since we got the thing, I do believe. Actually, no, we started this on straight 30, and then they're like, well, really, you should use 1040 and not straight 30. And it's like, well, all right, cool, thanks. I believe anyway. I believe. All right, so now we're on to the Exmark Laser. And this one we did, or I did, oil, filter, and Dad came in the shop then, and he did the right spark plug, and I did the left spark plug, and that's all we did to the Laser. Sometime this winter, we will pull the wheels off and grease the brakes and like make sure everything's good to go. We pretty much pull the wheels off once a year, make sure everything's good in the rear end. Here you can see the filters coming off. I do put all filters on by hand tight. I don't use any kind of tool to put filters on. Obviously, taking them off. These pliers work quite well. Yes, you can annihilate the filter by squeezing too hard to get a good grip on it, but who cares? The filter's going in the trash anyway, and who cares if you mangle it a little bit? Like I said, only put your filters on hand tight. At least that's what I do. Don't use any kind of tool. So there's that. And we're good to go here with the oil filter on the Exmark. And it does make quite a bit of a mess because the I would call it the tray, basically, that the motor sits on. And there's no like drain for the oil to come out of the oil filter. So that blue paper towel actually worked fairly well. It did run down and get it on the frame rail below, but, and you can see I spilled a little bit. You know, it happens. I just kicked a little oil dry on there, also known as the dirt in the shed, and we're good to go. This Exmark laser uses 1030 is what this uses. So I didn't show it on the Gravely, but I like to fill up the filters at least halfway. And the reason for only going halfway on them is so that it'll soak it in, and when you put the filter on, you don't spill. There's kind of a debate in the family even between Dad and I know he's going to say something when he watches this video. I like filling the filters with oil before you put them on there. It makes sense to me. In some applications, I understand that you can't do it because the filter, it's just going to spill all the oil, and I understand that. That's why I tend to go about halfway, because it'll soak in, and after a minute or two, you could turn that filter upside down, and you're not going to get any oil out of it. And that's exactly what the case was with this particular filter. I filled it halfway full, and, well, you can see I didn't wait very long, and I didn't spill a drop out of it. So it's kind of an internal family debate we have going on there, but it's all good. And as you can see, hand tight with the blue gloves, I know. And that's all we did there. I did check the air filter. The outer air filter, I think Dad said he is going to replace very soon. He had to get a new one. We don't keep any in stock down there because we only go through it like once every couple of years, realistically. We don't put that many hours on this machine in the summer. Really don't put many hours on it all. That inner filter is perfect. Good to go. Looks brand new in my opinion, and it will be fine for another year. So, yes. But this thing does have an awesome air filtration system with the 2 filter setup. But that external filter is going to get replaced sometime this winter. But, of course, like I said, we don't have one down there in, like, stock, let's say. So, there's that. Like I said, we did change the spark plugs on this as well, and I don't think I got any footage of that. But here goes the oil in. Dad's messing with his phone. You know, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But anyway, it's all good. Like I said, there's a little bit more maintenance to be done to this machine over the winter. But A, we have time, and B, I was primarily focusing on oil this particular day. So there is that. There is that. And we're good to go with the laser, I believe. Oh, I made a mess right there. Did you see that little... There was like a snot rocket of oil shot out of my can there. Now we're on to the old Power King 1614. And should be good to go with this one. This one has a nice pipe system. I don't know if this was like stock or if it's something they added on back in the day. I'm not sure. But it's, you know, nice pipe plug coming out the side there. And we'll be good to go there. And because, of course, we don't have the deck on this tractor, it is very easy to change the oil, and you can get your oil pan on just on the ground right below. Some of these little tractors are kind of a nightmare when you have to wrestle an oil pan around the deck and the linkage and belts and all that other stuff. So it's nice when you can just like pull the plug and let it rip, you know. It is very, very nice. And of course, all of these machines were run right before I changed the oil in any of them. We had them all running for a while. And then I went out there and turned them off. And then as I would bring in each machine, I would go drive it around a little bit around the farm and warm it back up to make sure that oil was good and thin and you get all of it out and all that good stuff. So let it drain for a while, stick the plug back up in there, crank her down. And yeah, this one's actually one of the easiest things to change because you can sit right on your bucket chair and you don't have to crawl underneath anything or anything like that. It's not a big deal. It's quite simple to change this old Power King here. And like I said, realistically, does this thing need an oil change or did it need an oil change? No. But it's one of those things where it really doesn't cost much to do this. You know, it's what, almost 2 quarts of oil. It's not that big of a deal. And if it's going to make the thing last longer, then hey, why not do it, right? Why not do it? This thing actually really needs a pressure washer, by the way. Need to clean this engine off. It's just kind of gross. Like, the whole tractor's kind of gross. It's had a few oil leaks over the years, especially in the rear end is pretty nasty on this tractor. I would like to clean them up and then maybe try to fix the oil leaks that we do have, but that's for another video down the road. This tractor gets straight 30 weight oil. It's good to go, and most of the time we do not get this thing out at all in the winter. If we get a little bit of snow, sometimes I've been known in the past to take it out and play in the snow, but it's really not that much fun. We have hooked a sled behind this thing before. There again, it's really not much fun because it doesn't go very fast, but you know, that would be the only application we would need it in the winter, and it's good to go. Air filter was fine on it, and spark plug's good as well. So on to the John Deere 111, our find up the street from us. As you guys know, we did put a considerable amount of work into this tractor and money. Not too much money, a couple hundred, like $350, $400, something like that. And it's an awesome little tractor. I like the thing quite a bit. I really do. Realistically, does this one need an oil change? No. But because the tractor sat for who knows how long before we acquired it, we thought it would be a great idea to go ahead and kind of run it throughout the summer and then drop the oil this winter and get it changed, just because it's not a bad idea to try to stir it up and get the sludge out. Although, if you guys recall, when we pulled the bottom off of this engine, it was pretty clean inside. It was not a lot of sludge and stuff in there, but it's still a good idea to go ahead and change this oil. You know, take care of your equipment, and it will take care of you long term. You know what I'm saying? A little preventative maintenance goes a long way, and we are all about that preventative maintenance at the farm. You know, fuel filters, oil, air filters, just it makes sense to do the maintenance on this stuff before it just won't run. You know, so many people just like don't take care of their equipment. We take care of our equipment down at the farm and maintain it to death, I guess you could say. We over maintain stuff, but you know what? That's okay. It just means it's going to last longer, and it'll be good to go. So the little John Deere, we have actually used it probably more than we thought we were going to when we picked it up. Dad actually took it down one day way out in the field, and I should have gotten some video of this, but I didn't. I forget what I was doing. But he was way out in the fields mowing around the telephone poles with the John Deere. And it's like, yeah, it's not really made for that, but it worked. And hey, why not do it, right? Why not do it? So straight 30 weight oil in John Deere as well, and it'll be good to go. This engine does not have an oil filter, so not a big deal there. This engine does have my favorite thing, which is a level fill plug. So you don't have to pull the dipstick and check the oil. You fill the oil until it's full to the top, and then you're done. I like those quite a bit. We did go ahead and change the spark plug in the John Deere as well. Check the air filter. Or no, I did not actually check the air filter, but the air filter was new back when we were working on this John Deere quite a bit, back in the spring, summer, whatever it was. I think it was spring. More of a spring, yeah. The oil filter, or the air filter, was brand new. And fuel filter, it was also added by us and also brand new. So don't have to worry about that. We really haven't run that much fuel through the thing. But new spark plug, good to go. Well, that is our maintenance video, guys. We will, of course, be working on other equipment throughout the winter at the farm, and I will try to bring you guys as much of that as possible. But until then, I do appreciate how hard words are, first off. I do appreciate you guys watching another On the Farm. Make sure you guys hit that like button for more. Subscribe if you have not already done so. And as always, toodles.